It's called shift work disorder, and according to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, it occurs when your body's internal sleep-wake clock is out of sync with your work schedule. And so basically, your body's telling you, go to sleep, but your work schedule is telling you, stay awake. Well, the good news is that shift work disorder is a recognized medical condition that can be diagnosed and treated by a doctor. Joining us this morning is Dr. Mary Grace Umlauf, National Program Chair of a national campaign sponsored by Cephalon called the Wake Up Squad, to tell us more about it. And we also have with us this morning Roger, who has shift work disorder. Thank you so much for being with us on the show this morning.
Thank you.
I want to start with you, Doctor. Tell me, how big of a problem is this here in the United States?
Well, now that the United States is a 24-hour society, we're talking about 20% of American workers working some sort of shift work. So we're talking about people who work perhaps intermittent nights, very early shifts, or rotating shifts, like Roger.
Right.
And so we end up talking about 15 million people in America who are involved in shift work and who are at risk for developing shift work disorder.
You know, one of the things you and I were talking about off camera is that I used to work shift work because I was a very early morning television news anchor, so I'd get up at 2 and work through 2, and sometimes I'd get up at 3 and work through 3. My schedule was all over the place. How does somebody know if they have shift work disorder?
Well, there are two main symptoms of shift work disorder. One is excessive sleepiness during your work schedule, and in addition, and you may or may not have insomnia, and that's difficulty falling asleep during your scheduled sleep time. Now, this is in offset to the fact that you may be doing all the right things to get appropriate sleep during your schedule for sleep. And that would be avoiding caffeine several hours before you go to bed, not exercising before you go to bed, not having large meals before you go to bed, sleeping in a cool, quiet environment. So those are called sleep hygiene activities. So you're doing all the right things and still not able to sleep and still having excessive sleepiness during your work activities.
And I want to get to you, Roger, here for a minute, because you did suffer from shift work disorder. What were some of your symptoms?
Well, as Dr. Umlauf said, I work rotating shifts, which means in a 1-month period I will do the day shift, the evening shift, and the overnight shift. And the excessive sleepiness was causing a little bit of lack of attentiveness, and I talked with a coworker who mentioned shift work disorder, which I had never heard of before, but it is an actual affliction. I did some research on my own online, and then I went and talked to my doctor.
Interesting. And I know that you work for a large water utility. What other kinds of occupations can be affected by shift work disorder?
Well, you know, we used to just think about people who work shifts that they were blue-collar workers, you know, people in manufacturing. But today, you know, with our 24-hour society, we're talking about white-collar workers. We're talking about healthcare workers. We're talking about IT workers, people who are service representatives, people in hospitality, people in the news industry, people in the airline industry. There are, you know, it's 15 million people in America working some sort of alternate shift.
You know what I find interesting about that? For someone like Roger, who your schedule was all over the map, and you knew it, and so you went and talked to a coworker who said, yeah, I've got shift work disorder. But if you're working in another profession, let's say you're a doctor, let's say you're a lawyer, let's say you're a news anchor, and you're suffering from these symptoms, you may not even know what you have because you don't associate what you do with shift work disorder.
That's right. And it really can have lots of other effects on your health. Other symptoms that we know about are difficulty focusing. There may be some safety issues, work-related safety issues. There may be some personality changes with irritability. And then, you know, there may be some GI and cardiac problems. So it doesn't just affect, you know, the fact that you may have excessive sleepiness at work. It does have other implications for your health and for your life.
And so, Roger, when she talked about kind of personality changes and all this kind of stuff, I want to know how this affected not just you, but how did it affect your family? Did they know something was going on with you?
Yes, we would, my wife and I actually did discuss the fact that even though I would seem like I got plenty of sleep, I slept well, I would be excessively sleepy and be rather cranky. So she helped me make that decision to go to the doctor as well.
You know, are there other people who could be affected by shift work disorder in terms of, are there people who are more likely than others? For example, there may be people who work the same job that Roger does and may not get shift work disorder. Do some people have a predisposition to it?
Well, some people have no problem, that's true. But we do know that individuals over the age of 50 seem to have more problems. If a person has an existing sleep disorder, has diabetes, has cardiac problems, or has existing GI disorders, they are more at risk for developing shift work disorder.
And we talked a little bit at the top about the Wake Up Squad. I'm very curious to know. Tell me about it. What is the Wake Up Squad?
The Wake Up Squad is a program developed by Cephalon and offered as a public education activity to inform the public about the health aspects of shift work disorder. And the arms and legs of the Wake Up Squad are our community educators, and we have these individuals in communities across the United States, and they offer face-to-face workshops on shift work disorder, and they've been very well received, and it's just been so exciting. It's a wonderful program.
Then understand you're taking the show on the road.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to be working with the Southern Women's Shows in 2011. And across the year, we're going to be in 11 different cities with the Balancing Act, offering workshops. And the alter ego to our live activities is our website called thewakeupsquad.com. And so if any of your listeners want to know more about shift work disorder today, they can look up those resources, including our symptom checklist. Now, the most important thing about the symptom checklist is, you know, when we go to the doctor, we usually forget things because we're kind of nervous and rushed when we're there. But if you go through the symptom checklist and you think that maybe you have this problem, or maybe it's your loved one, or you know, maybe it's Roger's wife.
Sweet little Roger there, yes, his wife.
Yeah. So that you can go through the checklist and take that to your healthcare provider, because that's the person you should be going to help make decisions about your health.
And so, Roger, how you doing now?
I'm doing great now, and as everybody's an individual, what I recommend is either do the research online, fill out that form, and go see your doctor.
Absolutely. Great advice. And thank you both for sharing it with us on the show this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And for our viewers who would like more information on shift work disorder, please visit the website, thewakeupsquad.com, where you can get more information on shift work disorder, including tools and resources. Also, be sure to look out for the Wake Up Squad booth this spring at the Southern Women's Show, where community educators will be offering education and awareness of shift work disorder, along with us, the Balancing Act.